Welcome, everyone. I'm Amy Mart. I am the Director of Professional Learning here at the Buffett Early Childhood Institute, and I am very, very pleased to be sharing with you today a session on digital storytelling featuring Dr. Chip Donahue. Chip's the founding director of the Technology and Early Childhood Center at the Erickson Institute and Senior Fellow at the Fred Rogers Center for Early Learning and Children's Media. We are very lucky to have Dr. Donahue with us today to share some information about how to support students to be producers of digital media. Dr. Donahue, please.
Great, Amy, thanks. And welcome to everyone. Storytelling, children's books, all these things are things that I love dearly, and I love dearly when we're all together. So I'm glad we can virtually be together to do this, but look forward to the time when we can be together really face to face and share these ideas. The topic today is digital storytelling, and it's one that I really get excited about. I've been thinking about young children and technology for many, many years, actually going way back into the 80s when Apple II computers first came into preschool classrooms. This particular mashup of technology and storytelling and children being media producers really has me excited. And in the last couple of years has been the thing I've been most enthusiastic about, because it doesn't take a lot to get started. We can certainly get more complicated as we go. But let me look at the title of the session. Lots of words in that subtitle. So we're going to define digital storytelling as we go. But in that long subtitle, technology tools, so that's one part of this. What are the tools that we need, and how do we provide children with those? How do we support children? But then words like documenting and demonstrating, sharing, saving, reflecting, and revisiting are all part of the magic of digital storytelling when we have technology tools that could be part of the equation for kids. So that's really where I think it all comes together. We're going to have a little fun today. I'm going to share some little bits and pieces of other kinds of children's books and stories that I'm sure you will know, just to evoke in all of us the power of story and the power of storytelling. And then we'll add the digital piece to it as well. So let's just dive in. On this screen, you see four favorite images and quotes from children's books, certainly from Christopher Robin. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. How lucky we all are in this time of COVID and remote learning and all the rest, that we have strong relationships that keep us connected to each other, that make it hard to say goodbye, maybe to end the video chat that we're having with grandma and grandpa halfway across the country. But it's those relationships that hold us together. The one on the upper right is from The Little Prince. It's only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Now, I've always loved this book, and I always loved that quote. But in my work at the Fred Rogers Center, I came to learn that Fred Rogers had the phrase, "What is essential is invisible to the eye," typed out and on his office wall at Family Communications during the whole time that he was producing Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He felt so strongly about that notion of the essential invisible and what we each have inside of us and how we bring that out. So I'm happy to share that one. Certainly, I knew who I was this morning, but I've changed a few times since then. Alice in Wonderland, we probably all feel like we've changed a few times since all of this began. And then we all know this last one. The moment where you doubt you can fly, you cease forever to be able to do it. And I love that Peter Pan quote, because that notion of empowerment that I'm going to weave through all these comments today, that we're going to help children feel capable of doing things, not incapable, not believing they can, but actually believing they can. So stories matter, and storytelling matters. To us as human beings, it's part of who we are. And so therefore, storytelling in the digital age matters. And I've got some quotes along the way as well. We're all storytellers. We live in a network of stories. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling. And if that resonates with you and you see the power of story, then the time we're going to spend together here in the next little bit of time, I think will really feed into that. And hopefully we'll give you some tools to connect that love of story with your work with children and the work with technology. So stories matter. I don't know if you know the story Bailey Goes Camping. It's one of my favorites, and I have the book here in front of me, and it's pretty ratty and used and been used many, many times. It occurred to me as I was thinking about what I would have to say to you today, that Bailey Goes Camping is the perfect story for right now, for shelter in place. So I'm not going to read the whole story to you. If we were together, we'd have a nice little circle time and I could do that. But I want to give you enough of the essence of the story so you understand why I thought it was the perfect one for today. Bailey's never wanted anything so much as to go camping with his older brother and sister. But what can be done when mom says he's too little to go? And you know, as older brothers and sisters can do, they get to go to camp, and little Bailey can't go yet. He's too small, but they tell him all the wonderful things you get to do at camp to make him feel bad about not being able to go. And so he goes through his day feeling sorry for himself and feeling sad that he can't be at big kids camp. He said, but his father says, "Don't feel bad, Bailey. It's not that great." "Oh, yes, it is," said Bailey. "You get to eat hot dogs and live in a tent and go swimming and fishing and hunt for bears and tell ghost stories and fall asleep under the stars. And best of all, you roast marshmallows." All the things that his siblings had told him they were going to get to do at camp. But his mom says, "Well, you know, you can do all those things. You can do all those things right here." And Dad says he can, and Bailey says he can. And of course he can, because later that day, he ate hot dogs and he lived in a tent and he went on a bear hunt and he roasted marshmallows. He went swimming and fishing in the tub. And so that whole idea, this whole notion of what the story can do and what the parents were able to do for Bailey just really resonates with me during this time of shelter in place. And the way families are trying to create opportunities for children to remain engaged and to have fun and to be connected to the things and the people they can't be part of right now, including being with you in school. I think it's a wonderful story about the magic abilities of parents, the magic abilities of environments when we think about how we can create spaces and places for kids to have these experiences. So thanks to Bailey for that, and thanks for listening along. So today we're going to learn about digital storytelling. We're going to learn about how children can progress from just consuming media to becoming authors of digital stories. And I'm going to use that word author a lot because it's really powerful and really empowering. For a 4-year-old to be an author of a story is a really big deal, and really can get them excited about language and literacy and storytelling and sharing and all of those things. So we're going to come back around to that a lot. We're going to consider the many ways children can show you what they know. And I think this is really powerful as well. For kids to be able to show you as the teacher what they know, what they're interested in, what they can do through the way they tell stories. We're going to review a list of tools children can use for digital storytelling and that you can use for teaching and documentation and family engagement. I think it's important to pause for a moment that I'm going to talk a lot about putting tools in kids' hands, in the children's hands, to be the storytellers. But I know that's a process and something that you have to work on, and it's more complicated now than ever. But this notion of getting the technology to the children so they can be the storytellers is a big part of my belief here. But I also think that the very same tools you model and use in front of the children can be used by you for your teaching, for documentation, for sharing with families. We're going to review the advantages of using digital tools and encouraging their use by young children. Why am I so excited about digital tools? What is it that they bring? What are the affordances of those tools that provide children with some magic abilities that go beyond some other kinds of materials that we've always had for storytelling in the classroom, and we will continue to. We're going to learn what digital storytelling is, and we're going to reflect on why it matters to children. So really get into some definitions of this. What is the field saying about this? What is the literature and research telling us about digital storytelling? And then really come back to the most important part. Why is this important to children? Why is this something that you can embrace and bring to kids and be bringing them such a gift around their whole child development? We're going to review the elements of digital storytelling. We're going to go over some tips for telling stories. And we're going to go over the features of digital storytelling. Just again, kind of put it in the context of real storytelling guidelines. Not so much that that's what you're going to do right away with young kids in your classrooms, but that you as the adult who's the leader, the facilitator of storytelling, needs to have this background about what are the pieces and components and parts of a great story. And then we're going to reflect on how you can integrate digital storytelling into your teaching and learning practices. Along the way, I'm going to stop at a couple of times and pause and give you a moment to reflect, to review, to reimagine. We'll have some prompts on the screen for you to think about, maybe jot some ideas down, make a little checklist, whatever it happens to be. So we'll give you some time to do that along the way, and then we'll welcome you back and keep the presentation moving forward. Creating media and digital storytelling matter. Again, I've been at this for a long time, and this, I think, is the current sweet spot of technology and very younger children, younger preschool children and kindergarten age children. So, you know, we all consume media. We all start there. You turn on the television and you watch a movie, you stream something, a movie from a streaming service onto the TV. You all watch something together. You watch something alone. You watch a YouTube video. We all consume media. And the idea of consuming media is that it's one way, right? It's coming at us from the screen. There's nothing I could put back into the screen that changes it from a one-way transaction. And let's face it, we all grew up with that. That's watching television as a child. I remember watching Saturday morning cartoons as a young boy, every Saturday morning, being so excited about what was going to be available to me. But those were not two-way transactions. That's what the technology of today can provide. And then meaning making, next on our little progression here, is the notion of children always need to make meaning out of their world, their life, their experiences, what's going on. What does it mean to be sheltered in place and B4? What does it mean to be a remote learning student and B5? Whatever it happens to be, that if we can give them tools that can help them make meaning out of that situation, to look at their lives and come up to some conclusions themselves, that's really powerful too. And then this idea of creating media and being a media creator and the empowerment that comes from not just looking at something somebody else did, but actually doing it yourself. And I'm going to get deeper into why that's so important in a minute. That leads me to this digital storytelling idea that we put all these together and we start to think about how these tools and storytelling are a marriage made in heaven because they really can support each other. And then the last one, again, I told you I'd say it more than once, and I will. Becoming authors is so empowering for young children to say, I put my name on this. This is my story. I put it together. I told it. I shared it is really powerful. It's been said that next to hunger and thirst, our most basic human need is for storytelling. So far, our two quotes from the experts have reminded us that how fundamentally human storytelling is. Now, I want you to look at the 4 images that are on the screen right now. Take a moment and just see if you can figure out what kind of technology is being used in each of those images. And if you said digital camera, you're exactly right. Look at all 4 images. Pretty simple technology, pretty affordable technology, but in the hands of the children, right? And so the idea that the child is in control, can decide where to point the camera, when to take a picture, takes a look and shows it to other people along the way. You see the 2 boys that are enjoying interviewing each other by camera, and the young girl on the bottom who's showing the image on the screen. One of the things about digital technology is that it's immediate, right? So it's not like the old days where some of us grew up with you had to send the film in to be, developed, and then it comes back. A week later, you see the pictures, the situation's long gone. Now it's so immediate, so fast, that in fact, it's real-time storytelling. That's a powerful idea.